Hi guys, good morning. We're here at the our new product development center here at Horizon, and my name is Alex, and I'm here with Jason. And today we're going to talk to you about the new E-flite Extra 3D 300 1.3 meter.
Yes.
I want to talk first about where we at. This is kind of a
this is interesting. So we kind of apologize a little bit. So we are in the process of moving between buildings. So for those that are unaware or just a little bit aware, we last year did acquire Habaco and a lot of the brands that came with it, and a part of that acquisition was actually the facilities as well. And so we are in what used to be the R&D facility for that, and now is also our new product development and R&D center for Horizon Hobby. And it's very exciting because, well, it's exciting for me because I can see all the really cool stuff back
there.
Look
at that one over there.
No, we can't show them that. But our studio's not quite ready yet, so we are working on a new studio. I know some guys actually had some complaints about our studio at the other place. It was kind of simple white. Part of that was we wanted to upgrade it, but when we had the acquisition happen, we figured we might as well wait until we have the new studio set up at the new location. And so that'll hopefully be ready in the next couple weeks here. In the meantime, we got a little handheld camera action for you guys. We're here in this space because it's a really cool place to hang out, and you can see a lot of cool projects. We can talk to the product developers and R&D guys. But we're here today to talk about this brand new release from E-flite, our first of the year, I guess, right?
And first live too, so
and our first live event of 2019. And so what's neat about this airplane is that it is a 3D airplane, Extra 300 3D 1.3 meter. We put the 3D in there intentionally because we don't want people to think, oh, it's a scale Extra 300 that does aerobatics. Obviously, 3D aerobatics is a specialized form of aerobatic flying, but at the same time, we don't have a lot of 3D airplanes anymore.
No, I think the last one was the maybe the E-flite Sukhoi, right?
Oh boy, I can't.
3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. So I would say internally we've got a lot of guys with a lot of different interests and skill sets, and a lot of us, many years ago when 3D kind of came on strong, we all flew 3D a lot. We all had lots of 3D airplanes. 3D was all a rage in the industry for a long time. Then you had 4D flying, variable pitch props. And since then, a lot of other things have changed in the industry. Warbirds got very popular for a while. Now, obviously, EDFs are very hot. But that said, this is, to us, a very important product because it gets us kind of on the now cutting edge again of 3D aerobatic flying. And so we want to make sure that a brand like E-flite has everything from a trainer, like, for example, the Apprentice or the Delta Ray 1, to obviously the recently introduced Viper Jet and the F-16 7mm EDFs, which are selling like hotcakes because they're amazing for the performance they offer and the value they add. But then at the same time, we want to make sure we cover all of our bases. So here we've got the Extra 300, which is a scale airplane, a scale model of a full-scale aerobatic aircraft with enlarged control surfaces. I don't know if you guys can see that. We got some really giant control surfaces here, larger than scale, to give you extra 3D performance. At the same time, you don't have to fly this airplane 3D. You can put on low rates, just a little bit of elevator there, and you can fly it around like a sport airplane. So if you're just into nice, smooth flying sport airplanes, you're into something that can fly precise, this airplane does that as well. So we say it can do sport flight, it can do sport aerobatics, it can do 3D aerobatics. And when I say 3D, I'm not talking like, you have to horse it around the sky, it flies heavy, it's a little underpowered, not at all. It is overpowered by a long shot on 4S, so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. It's 3S and 4S compatible, but these control surfaces, it actually is very, very maneuverable, very controllable. It's actually very light for its size. And that's the first things I want to point out is the size. So we put 1.3 meter in the description. We always put the wingspan of our airplanes in the description to kind of give a little bit of an indicator of the size that it is. But I think it's a little bit deceiving. This may be wingspan-wise 1.3 meters, but it's not comparable to all 1.3 meter, say, park flyers. I wouldn't call this a park flyer. This is like a 40, 50, almost 60 size airplane. This is not a small airplane. I think some people might see the price and see the 1.3 meter and go, wow, that seems like a lot of money for that, but it's not. This is a very, very large airplane. So I don't know if you guys can kind of see that relative to us here. But this, again, is what I would have considered years ago a very much 40 to 60 size airplane. And so that in and of itself, I think, is a very, very big deal, very important to point out so people understand the size, the value that it offers. It's actually a lot of airplane for the money.
So you talk about batteries. Is it 3S and 4S?
Exactly.
And what's the range of it?
So like a lot of our recent E-flite releases, we're making the airplanes 3S and 4S compatible whenever we can. So on 3S, it can run anywhere from a 2200 up to probably even a 5000 would fit in there in CG okay. And so with 3S, it's got very good power. It'll hang on the prop, close to full throttle, or you get a little bit of headroom depending on how good your battery is, and you can punch out and climb vertically on a 3S. On 4S, it's a rocket ship. And you don't have to change the prop. We intentionally have set up a lot of our power systems so they're optimized for working on, say, the 4S, for example. And so on 3S, if you put a different prop on, it might be even better performance. To be honest, we haven't experimented a lot with 3S props. It's just so awesome on 4S. We just 4S, on that.
Why go with 3S? Yeah.
And you guys will see there, we've got a wooden prop.
And that's unique, right?
That is
pretty
unique.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because a wooden prop is oftentimes lighter weight than a similar sized plastic prop. Of course, it looks kind of neat. I kind of like that because back in the day, I used to fly wood props on almost everything back in my glow and gas days. And so it does have a little bit better acceleration and throttle response because of the lighter weight prop. And so that's included out of the box. It's a 13x6 electric prop. Again, on 3S, a bigger prop like a 14.7 might be a better option. We haven't experimented with that. I think a lot of people probably will. But at the same time, on 4S, it's so freaking awesome that there's really no reason to fly it on 3S. If you have 3S batteries, no problem, you'll enjoy it. But on 4S, it's spectacular. Absolutely spectacular.
So you talk about being a sport plane and can do 3D and a lot of stuff. So for the guys that maybe this could be the first aerobatic airplane, but they have flown warbirds, but you also have Safe Select, right?
Right, exactly. So this could be, honestly, if you've learned to fly a trainer, this could be your second airplane. With the Bind and Fly basic version, we have AS3X in there, of course, to smooth things out in the wind, and then we also have Safe Select. So you don't have to use Safe Select. We know Safe Select is not for everyone, but I'm an experienced pilot, and I bind my airplanes with Safe Select.
And I always want to mention that you can turn it on and off. So
exactly.
You don't have to have it.
Yep, I put it on the same switch on all my airplanes, and I have it set up so if I fly through the sun, or there's a dog nipping at my heels, or I want to let a less experienced pilot fly, I just flip into Safe Select. I hand the transmitter off, or I take a few minutes or a few seconds to compose myself, and the airplane flies nice and level for me. And then I can get it back. And so, again, there are a lot of tangible benefits to Safe Select. I know there's some guys that have been in the hobby a long time or are very anti this kind of technology. And we're not saying Safe makes everything better. It's just an extra element of benefit for an experienced pilot, but at the same time, for a less experienced pilot, it's a huge benefit. So let's say you've flown a mini apprentice or an apprentice. You started on that to learn to fly, and you're doing some basic aerobatics with that, and you want to move into more aerobatic flying. Great, no problem. This airplane with Safe Select turned on is super easy to fly. So for those that aren't familiar with Safe Select, when you have Safe Select turned on, you've got pitch angle limits, so you can't go too far vertically, upright or upwards or down. You also have bank angle limits, so you can't roll upside down. And also when you let go of the stick, it self-levels. So it goes right back to level by itself, and that's really nice because if you get into trouble, you just let go of the stick. Or if you're in a spin or something, let's say you're doing a maneuver or trying an advanced 3D maneuver and you don't know what's going on, just flip into Safe and it'll go right back to level. That's cool. So it's an amazing benefit. Of course, we have AS3X in there, which really smooths things out. You can see in our little quick look video that we posted, it's flown in 10-mile-per-hour winds. Actually, it was gusting more than that. And it's pretty locked in. I mean, it moves around a little bit because it's not a giant scale airplane, but what's nice about AS3X is it makes it feel like a giant scale airplane.
Yeah, awesome. So out of the box, how does it come? Do you get any glue, any other assembly?
Yeah, so there's no glue required. That's kind of the nice thing. Oh, so I take that back. You do have to glue the hinges for the rudder. That's right. And so it's just a little bit of CA, some bin CA is all that you need to glue the rudder on. It's very, very quick. Everything else bolts together. It is sized so that I think most people are going to be able to transport it without taking it apart. But the wings do go on two-piece. They bolt on. And so it's very easy to transport with the wings on for most people, but if you need to take them off, very easy to take them off if needed. And assembly is very, very simple.
So one of the questions that I saw from yesterday was the taking off from grass.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, and we need to shoot some video to show guys that it has no issues on grass. Even with the wheel pants, you guys can see there's a little bit of ground clearance there. It has so much power, it gets out of the grass, no problem. And you can kind of do, you can do hairier landings and land it on probably even thicker grass than it can take off from. So takeoff and landings on grass, not a problem.
Awesome. What about, so this is 4-channel. So pretty much any Spectrum DX6E?
Yeah, anything. DXE. If you've got the plug-and-play version, the plug-and-play version does not come with the receiver, does not have Safe and AS3X. You don't need the switch, the 5th channel for turning Safe Select on and off. So you can get away with a basic 4-channel radio with the PMP, with the Bind and Fly. You need the 5 channels so you can turn Safe Select on and off. But that's it. You just need a very simple, basic radio.
Awesome. So one of the things about doing 3D aerobatics is you need to have powerful servos.
Yes, you got to have good servos.
So what do we have here?
So we've got these ginormous control surfaces, and if we just had like a 9-gram plastic geared servo in there, you'd smack this and it would immediately strip the servo.
Right.
So we went to a larger category, 23 gram, kind of like mini size servo,
right.
but we didn't stop there with just a bigger servo. It's got metal gears and it's also digital. So digital, more precise servo, better holding power, and so it's got a really locked in precise feel all the time, in large part because of those servos. And those servos in conjunction with AS3X in particular makes this thing unbelievably smooth, unbelievably capable.
Awesome. And I also noticed the servo arms, which are big servo arms, are needed for the...
So we've got longer servo arms than usual to get you the extra throw. Now on some of the surfaces, for example the elevator, we don't have it all the way out on the servo arm, and the ailerons, we don't have it all the way out. You don't need it necessarily to be out that far. And so you could, if you wanted more throw, you could do that. These are double beveled surfaces, so there's a lot of opportunity there for control throws. You could probably even cut some foam out and get even more throw. It doesn't necessarily need it. You'll see in some of the videos that we publish down the road of it doing aggressive 3D, you don't need a heck of a lot more throw than when it comes with out of the box.
Awesome. Kyle, do we have any questions?
What size is that included prop that comes with it?
So it's a 13x6 electric prop. It's an electric kind of shaped prop specifically in wood. So it's not a prop that you'd buy and put on a glow engine.
Right.
But it's a 13x6. Again, on 4S, it's amazing. On 3S, you could potentially prop up to like a 14.7 and still get a little bit better vertical performance on 3S. So that's an option as well. We haven't done a lot of testing like that ourselves yet, but I suspect a lot of people will. And real quick, we talked about 3D aerobatics. You can go to low rates on this thing, very low travel, and this can easily just be a sport airplane. It doesn't have to be a 3D airplane at all. The way you fly it matters on your control throws and your interest level of doing certain aerobatics and experience. And so, again, I'll point this out. If it's a second airplane, it could be your first truly aerobatic airplane, no problem. And there's a lot of benefits of an airplane like this, or a pattern style airplane, or in this case, this is a kind of hybrid pattern and 3D capable airplane, to where it's just really smooth and locked in for aerobatics. Much more so than, say, an Apprentice or a mini Apprentice would be if you're moving up from something like that. And so again, it could be a first aerobatic airplane, a second airplane, especially in the Bind and Fly Basic version with AS3X. I would say maybe the P&P version I wouldn't recommend as a second airplane without having that safe select option.
Yeah. Any other questions?
How does the AS3X really work without using safe mode with this being a 3D plane?
So the AS3X basically is just there to smooth out the bumps from turbulence and wings. So when you move the stick, you're in charge, you're in command. So if you move the stick all the way to the end of the travel to do a fast roll, it'll just keep going without AS3X getting in the way of anything. But when you let go of this stick, let's say you're flying just kind of straight and level, instead of gusts bouncing the plane around constantly, AS3X just smooths that out. In most wind conditions, you won't even see it move really. In blustier conditions, it'll move around a little bit more, and so I wouldn't have flown an airplane like this years ago in 10 or 15 mile per hour winds, but with AS3X, no problem.
Awesome. So we haven't talked about price.
Yeah, so the price, there's two versions available, as we have with many E-flite airplanes. We've got the plug-and-play version at $249.99, so $250 US. And then we've got the Bind and Fly Basic version for $30 more, $279.99, so $280 US. That includes the relatively large brushless motor that's in there, probably almost a 50 size Outrunner brushless motor. We've got a 60 amp ESC. We've got 4 mini digital metal geared servos. So again, and I think the size is deceiving. That 1.3 meter specification for wingspan does not tell the story of how large this airplane is. This is a 40 to 60 size airplane, and that's a lot of airplane for the money. Yes, we have some smaller planes like our Sukhoi, similar maybe wingspan, but just not the girth that this airplane is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kyle, before we close, any other questions, comments?
No, I think we're clear.
All right.
So, well, let's show the bottom of the plane. I love the way this looks. So you've got the very contrasting trim scheme on the bottom. You guys can see the checkerboards, which I've always been a big fan of checkers. And then you can see some of the other cool details. So for example, we've got ball linkages on the control horns. And so you've got extra precise control there. And then some of the neat things like these exhaust stacks, nice feature, painted black there. It's kind of a nice little scale feature. We got some louvers on the side here. The landing gear is very beefy, nice strong wire gear. Some guys are gonna complain, oh, I'm gonna bend that. Nah, if you bend this, you landed very hard. I wouldn't even call it a landing. I would call that an unexpected arrival.
Go back to the Apprentice.
Yes, back to the Apprentice. We've got a hatch on the bottom here, which gives you some access to electronics. The battery hatch is on the top, but you guys can see there we got the receiver on the bottom there with the magnetically secured hatch. So the bottom of the airplane is very, very cool. And then one last thing I also want to point out before we close out is that some guys are saying, oh, this is just a so-and-so airplane rebranded. Yeah, we've talked about this before. Some of our airplanes, we work with some different partners in the industry, and when we come across products of theirs that are amazing, that we think we can put our name on and back because we believe they're above average in performance and quality and value, and this was one of those airplanes. So we took this airplane, we put our trim scheme on it, we put, of course, AS3X and Safe in the Binify basic version, and we put our name on it because this is a phenomenal airplane. I really cannot get over how well this airplane flies. This is a fully hardcore 3D capable airplane that also flies like a precision aerobatic airplane and a sport airplane all in one package. And I'm really glad that we have something like this in our lineup now, because we were kind of getting away from aerobatic and 3D airplanes because the market is kind of shifted.
It's been a while, yeah.
But I think it's a time for the market to come back to some of that. And then for a guy like me, I like to go out with a little bit of everything. I like to go out with my EDS. I love EDS. Right now our EDS are phenomenal. They're a blast. But I also like going out with something more aerobatic that can do the 3D hover. I like to hang on the prop and just kind of do things down low, inverted high alpha and things like that. And then at the same time having something like the Apprentice out there just to cruise around and enjoy some basic flying with. So again, I think this is going to be a great addition to the lineup. We're very excited about having it in the E-flite brand. It will be available around the beginning of February. Limited supply. We only have a limited supply coming in this first shipment, so I very strongly recommend, if you want one, pre-order today on horizonhobby.com, towerhobbies.com, at your favorite local retailer, your favorite online retailer. Again, they'll be in stock around the beginning of February. And if you pre-order like Horizon Hobby and Tower Hobbies, you don't have to pay. You just put your pre-order in. You don't get your card charged until we ship. I think that's important. I see a couple guys saying, I'm going to wait to order until it's in stock. Don't do that. You're going to miss it. I'm telling you. There's only a limited supply of these available. And if you don't pre-order it, you probably won't get one in the first shipment, which means you probably won't get one until, oh heck, I think it could be as late as April or May. So make sure you get your pre-order right away.
All right. I think that's pretty much covers everything on the extra. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.